Brody,
Brody,
what's up?
how's it?
Good, man. Should we discuss location? Location.
Location. Yeah, I think you should address
The elephant in the room.
literally
Yeah, no.
the new
As you guys would have noticed, we are not shooting at our usual spot. I think with the coming episodes, we're gonna try and explore different venues for shots, right? So this being one of them, obviously. So yeah, man. Housekeeping rules. Meditations, mantras.
Can you start
reflections?
Can you start this week? I always start.
I always try to copy your things. It's hard. Yeah, I think for me, not really meditation or mantras, but I think I was just reminded of why this platform is very important. I think someone highlighted to me that we normally have these conversations amongst ourselves and amongst other people, but we never actually share them with the public. And it's very important for us to engage, and it's also very important for our engagements to also be part of be out there, because what's the point of us having this discussion and then it ends here, and nothing happens, because I think these talks should inspire change, and for that to happen, it needs to be out there, and that's why I always have a problem with smart people who will just have conversations amongst themselves and then that's it. I think real change comes when we actually have these talks, but we also engage, which is why Generation Great Podcast has that segment where we actually speak to the public. Because we don't want to limit these conversations to ourselves and our opinions. You said what?
Semi-mediocre, deep conversations.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're having. From your side, man?
Yeah, just to add on to what you're saying, I think this platform is built to explore ideas. And ideas, not just any random ideas, but ideas that are going to drive change and inspire other people, and make people think that, I've never thought about that, So I think that's a good reflection that you have. You said epiphany.
Yeah,
that's a good epiphany that you had.
Yeah. And look, we don't know anything. We don't know.
We don't know. We just think.
It's just
simple and just think.
Yeah,
and give our own perspectives and opinions.
Yeah. Any meditations?
So my meditation for this week, this is not a meditation, but I heard someone say this. He said something very important. He said, "Stop listening to online gurus. Their journey is not the same to yours. What he had to learn, it's not the same lesson that you're supposed to learn." And I was like, that's true. Yeah. You often listen to other people, and the lesson that they were supposed to learn is different from what you're supposed to learn. So take what you can from him, but don't listen to them too much. Maybe in their own journey, they were supposed to learn about patience. Maybe you're supposed to learn about hard work, because everyone's journey is so different, so don't take up too much of what you hear online and make it your own journey, because
be able to digest it and dissect it.
So just learn what you have to, just take what you have to, but understand that at the end of the day, your journey is unique to you, and you have to learn something that's unique also, so that was really powerful for me. I was like, that's crazy. For me, that was powerful. I was like, I've never thought about that. You keep on taking and that's what we do. We see ourselves in those people because we want success. So we end up unconsciously taking up their stories, not thinking that, no, it's their stories. It's not mine. It's their journey. It's not mine. So now I'm fully aware that my journey is unique, and whatever it is that I have to learn is unique to me. I'm not going to take up anyone else's story. So that was what I was thinking about.
And also, just to add on that, I think the template and also the factors and the surroundings are quite different. I mean, I would often listen to like self-help books from like white men.
Yep.
And I would be like, oh, I'm actually a black man. So my struggles obviously
are not the same,
as compared to them. And I would also have to be mindful of the fact that, yes, they're also struggling in the same context, but because of the environment and because of obviously their race and the skin color and conditions, it might actually differ. So I think I completely understand where you're coming from.
And that goes to today's topic.
Yeah.
Can you just introduce
such a nice segue.
So today you killed the segue. Today you are right on the segue.
So today we are discussing colorism and pretty privilege. For those of you who don't know what colorism is, so basically colorism is... What is colorism?
What is colorism?
What is colorism? So basically colorism is a specific individual getting preference over other individuals based on the pigment of their skin. So if you are dark-skinned, you get a certain type of treatment, or you get a certain type of discrimination as opposed to a light-skinned person, right? And I mean, it dates back to colonialism and all these other things where light-skinned people actually get preference over or are preferred over dark-skinned individuals. And we'll also just link it with pretty privilege, because I think a lot of the times people who are pretty or people who are aesthetically pleasing or very easy on the eye sort of get... their journeys through life are quite easy.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we want to discuss now and explore.
So do you think colorism and pretty privilege is like mutually exclusive? Do they go hand in hand? Or are we just going to just look at certain instances when someone who's not light-skinned but is good-looking would get certain privilege?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they are exclusive. Like there's they can link, right? But there's also like that instance where you a dark-skinned person. But look, there are always comments such as, you look pretty for a dark-skinned person.
Okay.
So I think that's why I'm actually I don't want to say they're exclusive or they don't interlink, because sometimes that example would be used in an instance where someone is pretty but they're dark-skinned. We're like, oh, you look very pretty for a dark-skinned girl, So yeah, I think we'll just box it together and just explore each topic as we go.
So what do you think? What are your thoughts about that?
Look, it's a thing. It's a thing.
You think it's a thing?
It's a thing. It's a thing. I think especially with colorism, because I feel like a lot of the times, especially in the media, you get a lot of the people that are in the forefront or people that are exposed to us looking a certain way, right? It's like the same ideology with models and full-figured individuals, right? Like the media will always perpetuate a specific
type of
beauty over the other, right? And with colorism, it would obviously be a lighter version of that particular beauty. And that's why you find that even with magazines and even with like all these other media-related content, if you're really, really, really dark-skinned, then they will be like, oh, we want it. So you're more like a case study, like, oh, you're so dark and your skin is rich. So that gives you an added advantage.
I'm a case study.
Right?
I'm joking.
Right? So that's why I'm saying it actually exists now, because even with Photoshop, a lot of the people you'd find that you're actually darker than the actual picture that the magazine or that publication will put out, and it's the same with pretty privilege. You won't find, because of the beauty standards that are set, you find a specific type of people that are regarded as beautiful.
Yeah, and also that's why you get, as you're saying, the beauty standards affect how people also behave. You'd find a certain look, and that's why people do. I don't know. Is it still a thing? The what do you call this thing?
Skin lightening.
Yeah,
skin bleaching. Yeah.
Bleaching and skin
Yeah,
lightening.
It's still very much a big thing.
So you'd get, and it doesn't help that most celebrities or anytime anyone gets money, they want to look lighter.
Yeah.
You know, they want to change, you know, how they were naturally born, you know.
Yeah.
And they don't just change the color aspect, but even how they look, like extreme, to a point that they get plastic surgery so they can get the pretty privilege that you're talking about.
Sure.
You know, I think, don't you think it's a insecurity thing? Somewhere a part of them is unhealed about how they look or how they were treated in the past. So they have to now change how they look so they can kind of heal that child who was abused or bullied because of how they look.
Look, as I would say, part of it is that, but also because, and this goes also hand in hand with BBLs and all these other things. It's like people aspire to be the version that the media portrays or the media deems is acceptable, beautiful or gorgeous or like, you know. So that's why you find a lot of people would do like skin lightening, people would do BBLs, people would do their lips, their nose and whatnot, because some people are trying to move away from the African look or the, because normally, you know, with African people it's like, you know, big nose, probably big ears, hairy and dark,
yeah,
you know, all these other things. So those features are, a lot of Africans have those features. And because of westernized beauty standards, with Western beauty standards, you need to be lighter. The lighter, the better. You need to have like a very sharp nose that's not too sharp, not too long. You need to have lips that are a bit fuller. And so that's what I'm saying. The magazines or publications that...
And the influencers. So now the influencers have even kind of made that even more. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And because we aspire to be that template of what beauty is, we then change our own looks to fit to that script, you know. And because now on Instagram, if you were to go on Instagram, you'd find, you know, baddies. You'd find like...
And they all look the same.
And they all look the same. So that look is the same. Like if everyone is doing their, I don't know what hair, I don't know what hair type of hair people wear or whatever. But I would see like long shiny hair, you'd see baby hair, you would see lighter makeup that makes them look lighter, which makes me think that it's a westernized concept. But now, also me being me, not wanting to vilify people for wanting to look a certain way, because I'm all for look a certain way that makes you feel like that. But I'm just feeling, I'm saying that we don't really advocate enough for people to look as African as they can.
Yeah.
I think when I was growing up, I used to see like people with Bantu knots and, you know, see people with afros, well-combed afros.
As natural as possible.
Also, why would they be called Bantu knots? I don't know why, but I would see that's the type of beauty that was exposed to me, where it's your natural hair, you know. So I would say there is an element of insecurity that is there, but the media also perpetuates the stereotype that actually beauty is like this. There's a template for what beautiful is,
and that's
or what beauty is. Sorry.
That's dangerous.
Sure.
Right, because for most parts, most people, right? For most parts, most people are average, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with being average. The problem starts when you aspire to be something that you've seen on TV. That's when the problem really starts. And also, I think it's an acceptance thing. I think people want to be accepted. I think it's an accepted thing. So the only way you can be accepted by other people is if you change how you look. Because people can say, no, you judge by the heart in. No, the first thing that you judge a person by is how they look. You know, so
I think walk around with
our hearts, with our hearts on our sleeves.
That one has a good heart, you know. So it's obviously visual, and then it will be like, oh, okay, you have a nice, great personality, and you have all these other aspects that makes you beautiful.
So what's the fastest way to get accepted is to look a certain way. But also, I think women have a true to media. Going back to your point, have a misconception that one man wants a certain looking woman. That's why you see all these social media baddies look how they look, because they think that. And unfortunately, I think we also incentivize that as men, in as much as it's not what we really want. But I
mean, aren't men generally like that? Because men are generally like, if you say you look beautiful, we will agree. Like, we are very easy to, because even with like someone who doesn't look like a baddie, but they embrace their full self, we like that. It's like even with the stretch mark thing, where people are just like, oh, you know, stretch marks. We're like, but for us, it's not a big deal. Like, for us, it's just like,
okay. That's the point I was trying to make, that we really don't care. For most parts, as long as you're a woman who takes care of herself, we don't care about how you look exactly. But we incentivize it because we'll give more attention to baddies. We will by giving more attention to the Instagram baddie, most women will think that this is the standard. Because we are the ones who are incentivizing that look. So we'll follow a chick who, for example, looks like Tando Tabete. We'll follow her. You know, not her specifically, but a chick who looks like her. And women will think that, oh, Mwaba, she looks like this. She's light skinned. She has a certain body. She's 1, 2, 3. That means most men want this. But for the most parts, men don't really care. We just, because she looks that way, I think, you know. So we are incentivizing that. And therefore, when an average woman looks at how we behave, she'll think that she has to look that way for her to be accepted by us. And then that's when she starts getting money, she'll change how she looks. So it's an acceptance thing. It's an insecurity thing. It's a thing where they think that they're not enough, how they look. You know, and there are natural ways of working on how you look. You don't need to do the procedures and stuff. You know,
people are gonna come for it because they're gonna be like, "Hey, this is our bodies." Like, just to circle back to what you were saying, right? Then it goes back to like pretty privilege, because
it does.
We incentivize that certain type of women, and we treat and how we treat a certain type of women. Then that's where the privilege is like, oh, because men treat this type of woman like this, then it means for me to get better treatment,
I have to look like this.
Oh my God, it's dark.
So
it's so dark.
Who incentivizes that? It's us men.
You know, but also like with men as well, because I feel like the topic will always shift towards women, but also with men, there's also that standard now. If you see, like, there's your jokes and people who like go to gym, and people who are like a certain way, you would look a certain way, and you'll be like, oh, because I mean, TDH, like tall, dark, and handsome. Like, girls would look for that, and they will probably look for light-skinned niggas as well. And if you don't fit those two descriptions, then you're like, you know. So if they're like, oh, but you look good for someone who's not tall, dark, and handsome, or for someone who's not light-skinned. You know, I'm looking at my brother there, looking all light-skinned. He's just like listening attentively.
What did light-skinned do?
You know. So in as much as it's a conversation that was, I feel it's mostly usually centered around women, but also everyone in general, because there's also a certain type of person that needs to be accepted by women.
Okay, but I don't think that men go to extremes that women go to. Women go through the procedures, and that's where the problem is. For guys, it's mostly just working out and eating healthy.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to do like a plastic surgery. With women, it's even worse. There's BBLs. So now you're looking at someone who's light skinned, who has a fake ass, fake boobs, fake lips. So that's extreme. You know, even their skin color it's fake. Everything is the hair is fake.
Yeah.
You know, so it's extreme. You know, so
please note we were cancelled at episode 7.
But everything is fake, and then just because they want to be accepted.
What if they say, "Look, that's my body, and I want to look a certain way. I can afford to look a certain way."
At what? Because to be honest,
whose cost is it? Because I mean, for you to determine at what cost, they would argue, and this is me being, they would argue and say, "But we're not doing it for you."
No, there's nothing like that. Women do things for attention. They keep on lying and say, "No, I'm not doing it for men." If you're not doing anything, if you don't do anything for men, fully cover yourself up. Then we'll see. Do all those procedures and cover yourself up, and then when you wake up, look at yourself in the mirror. Because you're doing it for yourself. Admire yourself. After doing all those procedures, after doing all that, cover yourself up fully, like the Muslims with what do they call them? Because they cover.
But I mean, there's freedom of look.
You can't have both. You can't have both.
I want to look a certain way.
You can't have both. You can't have.
But who says I can't?
No. You have to choose one. Just that's you can't say I want a BBL, but I'm not doing it for. I'm doing it for no. Why? You're doing it for attention, and you will get attention, and you will get the pretty privilege. Women will lie about. No, I'm doing it for myself. And there's certain women who are born with that body naturally, and they can't change that.
Yeah.
But the moment you go out of your way to look a certain way, don't tell us you're not doing it for other people. Stop capping.
No cap. Okay, let's go back to colorism now. Would you say colorism would have certain advantages that would, because yes, in a social setting, it would obviously be you are actually accepted. We like you, or because I mean, with pretty people and with light skinned people, they're like, oh, they're so easy to trust. Because there's also, that's why I'm saying it's so deep, because it's like it's easy for me to trust you when you are pretty and when you're light skinned as opposed to dark skinned.
But
would you trace it back to maybe like back to like how we sort of have like some form of self-hate as black people, because we like the goal is to actually move to whiteness as opposed to blackness or darkness.
But let's look at how whiteness or light or anything that's lighter is viewed. Everything that is light is seen as clean. It's seen as purity. So everything that is lighter is deemed as better or superior. So that does not only, it trickles down even to the skin, how we look. We might downplay it and say, no, it doesn't matter.
They say white is right.
Exactly. So all those things, they come into play when people make decisions about how they look.
But now, talking about you, because you said people would do this not for themselves, but for their attention. Then, do you think then it's a mind thing where we need to then transform the mind to then look for
it's a mind thing,
a specific type, so that you can identify the type of beauty that you possess and shift away from the westernized version of what beauty is for you? Because if that's the case, if the case is they're looking for attention is obtained because someone who's of a certain skin color or beauty standard is treated like that. So for them, it's like, okay, I will move and do this because of 1, 2, 3. Not that I want to, but because I want to be accepted, like you said, I want to be accepted and I want to get ahead, or I want to have this much following, or this much wealth, or this much, I don't know, advantage.
Okay, so I think there's nothing wrong with so you'll have your own natural look, for example. There's nothing wrong, for example, to say, you know what, okay. And it's such a fine line that I don't know, because there's a difference between change and enhancement.
But isn't you enhancing something means you are changing it from the original version?
Enhancing can also mean just making it look slightly better, not completely changing it. I know.
Slightly better.
I know.
What do you mean better?
No. For example, you want thicker eyebrows, right?
Sure.
Just putting on minoxidil to make them come across darker is an enhancement, but you did not change anything. You had eyebrows, but you just made them look a bit darker, as opposed to someone who's dark and they do a skin bleach. You see, so that's where the difference is.
So it's the extreme.
The extreme.
It's like the
contrast. The
contrast is
of change.
Of change. It's quite visible that you actually were moving away. But if you do like minor, but what if I go and say, look, for my cover, I just want to do a minor procedure to because I mean, it ultimately says,
so what
I'm not happy with this.
Okay.
Therefore, I will transform myself to look a certain way.
So for your mkaba, you go for a liposuction. What is that? You're essentially moving away fat, right? You're taking away fat. You could literally do that just by going to the gym and working out and eating healthy.
Sure.
There's no need to go that extreme.
Yeah.
So that's also not extreme. I don't think liposuction is extreme. What's extreme is surgery. Those ab surgeries. That's now you want permanent abs without.
You know, the blurred lines. The blurred lines, because this topic is, it's
nuanced.
It's nuanced. I'm like, hi, man. Because also, we are saying you have the liberty to change how you want to look, but also the standard in which you want to look.
The problem is the extreme. Again, the problem is the extreme.
But
because what happens when you go to extreme, you don't only, because most of the time, people who go to extreme, what happens to them? They end up with complications.
Sure. Okay. That I'll give you, but I'm just very, because the thing I feel like it's very hypocritical when people are just like, oh no, you don't have to change yourself, and then that's the narrative that is pushed, like, oh, love yourself for being like that, but also you are judged for being like that. It's like be like that, but not like that. So it's like, if you're dark skinned, they're like, oh, we want you dark, but you are not dark enough, for what we're looking for. And that's where the problem is who comes up with the beauty standards and who comes up with these limits where we can say, I can alter my body to look a certain way and not. And I know you're going to go to that extreme. It's the extreme.
No, it's not the extreme. It's what sells. Which look sells the most? Which look is going to get me?
But isn't that a standard on its own?
Yeah, it's a standard. It's a standard because people determine the masses determine what is more appealing, and media will see, because media people are intelligent. They can see trends. They'll see a trend. They'll see how people are behaving towards a certain look, and they will capitalize on that. They'll push that more. If they see someone who has a BBL, light skinned, big lips, whatnot, and that's the look, they'll push that. And even so, and then you'll have an average chick taking up those things that they see online or on TV,
Sure.
and then they'll start an OnlyFans. And then
or if
then, okay, so let me just continue to the point about OF, right?
Yeah.
So again, what is OF? OF is nothing more than monetizing looks.
Sure.
And you have to look a certain way.
Monetizing sexual content or just looks?
Okay, not okay. There is sexual content,
Sure.
but it's again, it goes back to what the pretty privilege
is
monetizing how beautiful
sex sells and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that, yeah.
You know. So you see how pretty privilege goes, full circle.
Sure.
So you look a certain way, you accept it, you get the attention, and you monetize it.
Yeah.
And that's where the pretty privilege comes into play. It's okay, if you look a certain way, you'll get this much subscribers based on how you look for your OF, and you'll make the most money.
Yeah.
Okay,
I get you. I also want us to explore because at this point, yes, the conversation is around pretty privilege and colorism at this point, but I want to go back to the emotional and the psychological effect of colorism. For instance, I mean, I grew up a dark-skinned child, and sometimes you would be called umnyaman.
I know that very well.
I always refer this to one of my sisters was beautiful, dark-skinned, beautiful. They would obviously refer to as umnyaman, and that connotation then sort of meant or was said, or that comment was said because it's to put you down to umnyaman, so you must feel like you dark because dark is not acceptable, right? And I see that
dark is bad, not acceptable, but dark is bad.
Is bad, right? As opposed to light skinned. So while we're having this conversation, I want us to also link it to the look. There were people that were mocked about certain type of look when they were growing up, and that contributed to them having low self-esteem, low where they actually lost confidence on themselves.
Yeah.
And those people are also part of the people that now do light skin because for them it's a scar. It's like I was called dark, and that has actually left me feeling like I wasn't enough or was not acceptable. Same goes for people who are light skinned. I mean, Shoma Josie once said that she was also bullied for being light skinned. Zobizwa umlo or zobizwa Yikwa, and people have Bono and stuff like that. And you know what I mean? And so a lot of people also got a backlash for looking lighter than usual. And I want us to also just put it in there and discuss the impact of that. Do you think that also makes people want to change how they look because of the scars that they sort of got when they were younger, or because look, a lot of the decisions, and I always say, I heal the child in you, and then you are going to be like a healthy adult, because a lot of the decisions that we make are based on experiences that we got when we were children, right? So what would be your view on that in terms of the people who are told that they are dark skinned and they're not enough, and light skinned they're not enough, they were fat and they're not enough, and when they now grow up they're like, oh, I want to change this because this is not bad.
Okay, I am people.
People is you.
People is me. Growing up, I was also told how Ngumnyaman and stuff.
Sure.
To this day, there's still a nickname that I have.
Yeah.
But it's not as much as when I was young.
But how do we overcome that?
So I think for me personally, this is a personal story. I overcame that when I accepted that there's certain things that I can't change.
Sure.
I can't change my skin color.
Sure.
I was born, and I mean, without the enhancements. So I couldn't
without the enhancement.
No.
Make them dance.
The only thing is I can just become a better person. So I think that's what I did. I accepted that God blessed me with such a great skin. Why would I now want to change it? So God blessed me with a great skin. The best thing I can do is accept myself and improve as a person in what I can.
And not just because, look, a lot of the times we think improvement is looking a certain way. Improvement is
holistic,
being healthy, being mentally, both mentally, spiritually, and physically. Like, we always assume that beauty just comes from, and I do get, like, people, it's been said a lot of times, beauty comes from within, and they're like, guys. But I actually really do concede that beauty really comes within, because whatever you think and whatever you feel manifests itself in the physical realm, right? And how you feel about yourself will be visible in how you behave and in how you treat yourself.
So that's good, because everything that's outside is superficial.
Sure.
So that's why I'm saying I accepted that I can't change my skin color, but I can become a better person. And then I started changing my inside. Inside, I changed it. I changed my mindset, how I think, how I view myself.
Sure.
And I stopped taking other people's view of what good looking or
what constitutes
what being good looking or what being handsome is.
Sure.
And I defined it on my own terms. I didn't allow other people to determine, okay, no, for you to be good looking, you have to look 1, 2, 3. I was like, okay, this is what I can change, which is just go to the gym, eat healthy, try the best that I can to improve myself, even like, as you were saying, on myself. Because it really did, growing up, I had like self-esteem issues.
Sure.
Because you would be playing there and stuff, and it's fun. And someone would hit you with "I when I'm Yaman and everything just
it's just like
have to be reminded.
Like,
or they'll call you a gorilla.
I want a bomba.
Or gorilla. Or anything that would kind of mess up your self-confidence.
And a lot of the times you touched on something very important. And the thing is, that's why I'm saying it goes back to how we were, it always goes back to colonialism and how we were sort of transformed, and we were told, and it was instilled in us that we are not enough. Because a lot of the times, the people that are saying that are people who are older than you. It's people, your aunts, your uncles, your grandmothers, your
friends,
grandfathers. They would say, and not understanding the context in which they would say it. But you understand? And yes, when you would think, oh, okay, I'm dark, so because I look a certain way, right? Not understanding the impact of it when you now an adult, because then you'll be like, because I'm bitter. There are people that will tell me that, look, as a child, I was told 1, 2, 3, and from that on, I realized I'm not good enough.
So can I ask you something? So do you think that it's our grandmothers and whatnot that's passed on trauma?
It's trauma that was passed on from it's racism that was, or it's a discrimination that was inflicted on those people for them to think,
and they passed it on to us.
And they passed it on to us
about black people,
right? And that's why I always say I'm gonna raise my son in a sense where I will reassure him. I'm like, look, don't focus on the beauty standards that you see. Focus on yourself. Are you good enough? Are you happy with yourself? And I think that's also very important for parents to do, to constantly reassure and tell their kids that, look, F those people who are telling you that you look a certain way. When are you happy with whatever you look? It doesn't have to be you being compared with. Because I think that's the biggest thing also. We are comparing being black and whiteness. So there's no middle where we we must find this. The standard has always been westernized, right? Because you look at your hairs, your different type of hairs, curly hairs, and all these other things, makeup, and you see everything is westernized. Even and this conversation will take longer, because even with how we do things now, white wedding is suddenly popular as opposed to traditional wedding. So we aspire to the westernized version of ourselves.
We aspire to white.
Accepted.
We aspire to being white.
Yeah. So I think it's deeper than what we are discussing right now, because there are different elements to it, not just socially, but economic, in terms of economy, in terms of corporate. There are people that get ahead in life because they are pretty and they light skin, and not that they are pretty and brilliant as opposed to other. We're not going to compare, but we're saying, but now the standard that was used for this criteria was because you need to look a certain way, you need to be pretty, and the westernized you are, the far ahead you get,
or the lighter
or pretty you are,
the further you can get.
Because guys, let's be honest, pretty people don't struggle. A lot of people don't struggle because you get everything it's here. It's here. People will tell you opportunities oh no, but you look good. You must do modeling, or you must do 1, 2, 3. As opposed to other darker skinned disadvantaged counterparts, right? And the reason I'm bringing this in is because there are people who have gotten opportunities, or people who have been overlooked because of how they look.
So it's not a competence thing.
It's not a competence thing. It's a image thing.
It's an image.
I remember when I used to work for some other company, you were told that you can't look like that while you are associated with this brand or with this locuzan, and it then shapes then you're oh, so the look that I am, or me being comfortable in how I wear, or in how I dress myself, in how I articulate myself, is not acceptable. So I need to then conform to the standards of these people for me to then fit in, or for me to be accepted, or for me to get ahead in life, right? So it goes deeper than just the social part of it.
It goes deeper than the social part. And it doesn't help that all the celebrities look even also look a certain way. I think Beyonce, all these, Cardi B, all these celebs.
That Beyonce
is
what didn't know.
No, I'm not saying what.
Beyonce sues people. You sign NDAs.
Is it?
Beyonce.
Is it?
You don't want.
Yeah, it doesn't help that all super famous people also look a certain way.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, it's all westernized. It's all a certain man look, man. Tulipongolo, all these. We can talk about Kanye Mbao is the most.
Yeah. Sure.
I think recent example.
So
and also I also want to make this. There's a difference between also improving.
Yeah.
And again, changing completely.
Yeah. Sure.
You can take something and make it better.
Yeah.
And and
not change it, make it better.
Make it better. You can be dark skinned and just apply even tone to make your tone. You did not change. You did not go to the extreme. I think the problem comes with an extreme where you completely change if you change everything. You do the BBL, you do the
thing for me is, according to who's, I hear you, and I completely endorse your thoughts. But for me, it's who is the what is the standard for you to say changing? But who sets the standard of change, and for you to say you can enhance yourself, but not like that?
I think
it's a tough one, eh?
It is, but I think the more money you put into it, the more it goes away from being natural to being superficial.
But I'm talking about you saying you can enhance yourself and be, but what is that? What standard must then be acceptable for you to say this is enhancement and this is changing completely? Because, like you said, there's a fine line between.
Exactly. It's so fine. It's so nuanced. It's so, you can't exactly say where that line is.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, because I feel like this is quite a.
It's difficult.
It's quite a difficult. But what do you think would be the solution, or what do you think would work best in terms of like colorism and pretty privilege? What is it that you think we should do better on?
I think there's always there's this track by Wale, Shades.
Yeah.
Shades, doesn't matter how it makes the lover.
Yeah.
You should check that track out. It talks about how he was not accepted because he's darker, and the darker you are, the lesser you accepted and stuff. So I want to make this point. I think it's, in as much as we have no business advising people about their lives and whatnot, do what you want to do, right? But I think you should also create your own standard. Stop looking outside of yourself. I think people seek answers outside of themselves when they really have everything that they need.
You're already insecure.
Exactly.
Now
So instead of addressing you are addressing something that is external.
Sure.
So I think people should look within. I don't think it's bad looking and saying, just because she looks like this and she's getting this and this is happening, I should look now. No, what's your own beauty? Have you envisioned yourself? Without anything. Have you seen how you can look without having to do?
Sure.
And I don't want to talk from a place of privilege, because I've also worked on myself.
Sure.
But also I had to go within.
Sure.
I think everyone has to go within. I don't think when it comes to the systematic part and the social part, I think that's more difficult to change.
Yeah, but I think it's also
because the
not
systematic
as challenging, because now you are reassured of your stance. You're reassured of who you are. Like you said, it's from within. So even if standards come, because of
you are unaffected,
reassured you are of yourself and how you view yourself, it's difficult for you to see or to be shaken, right? And I think you made a valid point when you said you need to work on yourself internally and then ask yourself, am I making this alteration based on how I feel, or how I feel both is it a positive alteration? Am I doing it because I'm like, oh, I just decided, I want to go do a nose job? Or is it, I hate my nose, so I need to go do a nose job, right?
And also, is my nose like medically, like extreme? Like, do I need to do this because I'm suffering with my nose? My nose is just so big, I can't breathe out of it. I'd have to, So I think it's so nuanced. It's because there are extreme situations where you need to do the procedure.
Sure. For health reasons.
For health reasons, you see. Okay. So again, that's why I'm saying people have to seek the answers within themselves. How does this best benefit me? Not because I saw it, not because it's a trend, not because everyone is doing a skin bleaching, not because everyone is doing the BBL or getting their lips injected with whatever. but because I think this is the best thing for me, and not because I'm insecure or
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Look, for me, just move away from the Western beauty standards. I think for me, I'll go political. It's high time African people define or redefine what their standard of beauty is, and even within those standard of beauty, as African, we don't have to then also create segregation and discrimination, because people would say, this is the beauty, we're dark skinned and whatnot. But what about other Africans who are light skinned, right? So I think with different types of beauty, there are different types of beauties that exist. And we need to all embrace those different types of beauties outside of the westernized system. The first thing that we need to do is get rid of all the Western
standards,
ideologies, and all these other things, and then redefine what it means to be African. And even within being African, we also need to make space and allow people to also express themselves and redefine what beauty is for them, right? Because the media will always perpetuate Western ideologies and Western beauty standards and Western standards in general, So I think it's up to us to say, look, we as Africans, for instance, I mean, I'm not sure if it's people from Namibia. They have their own way they have their own beauty standards where they would do their hair, they would put mud and stuff like that. That's what we've always done as Africans. There are people who would pierce the ears and stuff like
yellows
that, and whatnot. And to see Africa has always been rich with like culture and all these other things. All these different tribes, there's so many different tribes in Africa, and all of them would do different things. I mean, with Zulus, there was a certain way in which we would dress, certain way in which we would do our hair and stuff like that, which was fine, right? And the Western came through and then tried and colonized. Not only did they steal our minerals and they stole our land, but they also stole our identity as black people, because Khoisan, they were people who were very simple and they had their own things, right, going for them. And now, all of a sudden, we must look like this. We must wear clothes. We must buy these products. We must own houses like this. We used to be very simple, live in houses that were mud and all these other things. So I am making this political because it's a political agenda. Even in USA, how white black people are treated is systematic, right?
And the craziest thing is, we will still want to associate ourselves with people who belittle us.
Yeah.
White people, okay, it always
centers around them. It always centers around the race
exactly
that creates, because they think like they are the
superior
trailblazers. They are the superior race, and we should follow.
So this is the thing. I think in their agenda that is important.
Sure.
It has to happen, because the only way you can control people is by them to aspire to that superiority.
Exactly.
So it was part of an agenda. The only way is if we say long hair, these extensions or whatever they do now, that baby hair that they do now, makes you more appealing as a black person. Being lighter skin makes you look more appealing. It is important for them.
Yeah.
Because all these races are trying to mimic, and to be honest, the other races don't care. It's mostly black people, because the white race has made black people feel so less, feel like animals to certain to
a certain extent.
A certain extent. That's the only way we can see ourselves as equal, is to mimic them
and look like them, which is so funny because now they are trying to do our trends. They're trying to style their hair like us. They're trying to take how our fabrics. They're trying to do all these things that are African. They are blowing up their lips to have the African image of.
Can we include Dr. Umar in this a bit?
Yeah.
Dr. Omar talks about how we black people have such an inferiority complex that even when we become like black people, most of the time, he was talking about how most black Americans, are marrying out of their race at a faster pace than any other race.
Sure.
And that's because of the inferiority complex. And it's true again. I think it ties in with this colorism and stuff.
Sure.
Most of these NBA players or athletes, they go for a lighter, thick, like that look, that Instagram baddie look. Again, it ties into that colorism thing. The only way I can feel
the only way I can feel white or feel human is if it's closely linked with whiteness.
Exactly.
And the only way I can feel accepted is if I look a certain
or
way.
If I marry or date a certain looking individual.
Oh man, I think we need to cut this and go to straight interviews.
Look,
I think this topic was quite difficult because I don't really think we've concluded on it. I think there's so many other.
It's so nuanced. Yeah, it's so nuanced.
So complex.
It's so complex and so nuanced.
There's so many other factors that contribute to that pretty privilege and colorism that
goes deeper than just what we spoke about. It's even racial. It's economic. It's because also there were experiments where people were sent out into different settings, and the lighter got more benefits than the darker, less better looking.
Guys, I think we need to engage on this. We'll just go out and get your views and continue to interact with us on our social media platforms and just keep this engagement going, because the only way we can make change is if we speak about these issues. Yeah, man. All in all,
Done.
Okay, so basically colorism, I think it plays a very huge role, and it's funny when it happens within the same race. Sure. Black or Amazulu on Zulus, where light-skinned people are preferred more than Abadaka, to a point that it was, I remember Mankula when they said, if you dark, you need to funda.
Yeah.
Because but when you are dark, because I think it's the thing, light-skinned people, skin always works for them.
Sure.
They always get preferences everywhere they go. Emisebenzini, eikolweni, I think we had this thing, we don't want to have light-skinned friends because we dark. Yeah. Because obviously that person would always outshine all of us. Yeah. So I feel that it has become a norm where we are okay with it. Nobody's saying anything about it. The only thing that we actually rush to is racism, because I feel the difference between the two, colorism and racism, that's with color or complexion. Complexion when it happens within the same, because the bantwana bakhula bazi fana bogogo ugogo omnyama uyathakatha, it's sad, it's funny, but it's very sad where you are actually bayajaja, where people would say things based on the color of the skin. I'm glad ngisakula, and now the color of my skin has changed drastically, so that I'm lighter now. I used to be black, I used to be very dark. I remember this one time there was a guy and it's just that, and I think the bantwana bethu bakhula with that very same mentality. Umuntu omuhle umuntu onjani? Umhlophe. Okay. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Ngiyabonga nami.